Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another Doddie Aid podcast here at the Backbar Podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I will say that we've firmly kicked January into touch. So all those ones that have had their January diets and January fads, hope you absolutely ruined yourselves this weekend. Join us here at the ones that don't do any diets or any fad stuff whatsoever.
Well, you're talking about no carbs,
Guilty. So yeah, well kicked into touch this weekend. So
you see chips all weekend.
I had chips for dinner, so I'm not gonna lie. we had a Chinese, and I'll let me circle back to that one. But let me introduce my host here before we go too far. So we have our one and only Johnny Gimmel, and we have Mr. Martin Mini Gimmel. Hello, hello.
So we've got some big news this week.
Big up, married, love heart.
So if anyone was listening to the Jennifer Roach episode, it's pretty clear that Gemmell won the custody battle for me.
I know, my life sucks.
I just want to point out that this intro has been a bit long-winded because Ali's been absolutely treating himself tonight. Ali, do you want to just run us through what you were drinking earlier?
Oh, I know.
Juice.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling toasty for at the beginning. Normally I get toasty halfway through. I'm toasty at the beginning. So I ended up pouring myself a double whiskey, but just to ease the flavors a little bit, I put a double Bailey's in it as well, and I had two of those. So yeah, I'm toasty.
Nice.
I'm not
So
gonna lie.
what you're telling us is you're in mid-season form and it's only pre-season.
Oh yeah. So if you might hear a lot of like, "Hey, what did you just say?" or me interrupting with the completely irrelevant information, that's going to be me tonight. But anyway, we will crack on.
Paisley girls know how to have fun, eh?
We'll see how this goes. So don't expect a lot from me tonight. So you guys are taking the lead. Rob's going to be delighted to meet me tonight. Oh yeah, by the way, spoiler alert.
Who are we speaking to?
So we'll just jump right into that first, then will we?
I think this is going to be one of the slickest podcasts we've ever done.
I think so. So yeah, we've got the main man himself, the leader, Mr. Rob Wainwright. He's going to be joining us to not kind of round us off, but see where we're at. But we're getting to the finale now. We've got 1 week to go, so we thought it'd be a good time to bring Rob in and see how things are going and get his thoughts and stuff. So
yeah, a wee rallying call for the last week to get those last few miles in. I need to pick it up, man, because our pal
Simon on your ass.
He's 10. I think he's 10, 11 miles behind me just now, which for him is 1 day's walking.
So that'll be his morning walk.
So I'm going to need to get the finger out because I can't get beat. So we'll see. I'll take solace in the knowledge I'm probably going to beat Ali, so at least I'll beat one of yous. It's fine.
I'll just have another couple of whiskeys tomorrow. A couple of whiskeys tomorrow, and I'll just put in like 40 miles.
That's probably because you think it's 4 and you just but yeah, I think it's going well. But yeah, big effort for the last week.
Yeah,
get through to Saturday, and then we can slide back into
normality
and mediocrity of just doing fuck all.
It's those good intentions on the 1st of January, and it just feels like
I'll say there's good intentions in the morning of the 1st of January. It gets to lunchtime, all right, fuck this. But yeah, that's good. That's good. And how are we doing? Everyone doing well? Everyone keeping healthy?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. Healthy enough, huh? Oh, what's wrong, Ali? Have you got another calf injury?
No, I had a huge Chinese for dinner tonight, so I'm like just
huge Chinese, and then 2 double whiskeys, double whiskey Baileys.
With Baileys, I know. But I must say, I've actually come up with this new thing with Chinese food. As I actually don't order a main meal now. I just get like 4 starters. So I get like chicken wings, ribs, chips. Now I share this. This is not all for me. Like when I say share, someone else takes.
Lorna gets to look at it.
she gets some of it.
Share it with the left and the right hand.
But I'm loving this tapas type idea where you get little samples of stuff. But you're right, though. I totally kicked the ass out of it. It's not just like one, peking rib. It's like 4 ribs, 4 chicken wings, half a bag of chips.
Nice.
So,
It's like, see, the thing is, like, this is really hard to hear because Gemma and I do press ups and have protein shakes before we come on to get ourselves G'd up for the podcast.
Every
And
time.
we're having whiskey, Baileys, and a Chinese deep, man. How are you staying awake?
I tell you what, it's just you've got to live your best life. You know what I'm saying?
You can tell you've had your dividend payout for the podcast earlier.
I know. I'm actually scribing here from the Bahamas as well. I'm roasting.
I've had mine. I've got a wee bag of Tangfastics.
Well, it's directly related to ability, Gemmel, so
Well done.
That's why I get nothing. I didn't even get Haribo's.
Sticking us with your training, Gemmel, what have you managed to log this week? Make us really adequate.
I've not done a huge amount this week. A lot of dragging the dog out for longer walks. That's about it.
Well, there was going to be something else there. A lot of doggy. I was like, okie dokie.
There's just a lot of dogging, mate. What?
Okay. I don't know.
Is that not slang for dog walking?
That's where I went.
Is that not slang for dog walking?
Right,
What?
That sounds like the whiskey and Baileys talking.
It's weird because when I mention it in work, people are like, yeah, whatever, I need to go. That's weird.
It's not just me.
It seems there's something odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, just a lot of dog walking. I think I did like one run and maybe one stint in the turbo trainer, but that's about it.
Well, a week to go, mate. Plenty of time to make up those miles. But you're the one flying the flag for us three. We're just stumbling through. You're the one that's the top of the.
What am I at the moment? Actually, let's have a wee look in. We'll see what.
Yeah, we're going to bring Rob in as well, and what's he on? He's like
6,000 miles.
235. Rob's on 818.
You catch that up this week, mate. No bother.
I'll just take a week off work and sit in my turbo trainer all week.
Then you get Gavin Slater, who's on 1,100 miles. Pervert. That's ridiculous.
What?
That's someone else has been on the whiskey, I think. That's the angry juice.
No, I mean, fair play to guy. That's absolutely phenomenal, but it's just pure jealousy.
Absolute tanking it.
It's not a way at school when you're like, to be cool, just don't try at anything. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, Gavin, pure 1,100 miles.
All loser.
But he's absolutely smashing it. So well done, Gavin. Yeah, you're doing well. And if you're a really good fighter, then I was only joking. if you're a shy bag and you're not a good fighter, then I meant every word of it. Square goal.
Okie dokie. Right, anyway. Before we have our first back of our pocket, Manny's going to end up with a tattoo, getting beat by Simon Donnelly and a black eye in one month's worth of podcast.
Hell of a Doddie Aid.
What 6 weeks that'll be.
Right, before this all gets violent, let's speak to Rob and find out how he's doing and how he's managed to rack up those statements.
Bring a bit of sensibility to this nonsense. Right, okay, let's get on.
Let's do this. So, welcome to a former guest of the Backrow podcast, and it's the former Scotland captain and the leader of Doddie Aid. Welcome to the show, Mr. Rob Wainwright.
That's a pleasure. Great to be here. How are we all doing today? Still smiling from yesterday?
Certainly am.
Absolutely.
No, I'm gonna have a confession. I actually missed the game yesterday, which it feels like the biggest mistake ever. I'm not even going to tell you what I was doing because you would be disgusted. But yeah, the result was something else.
I did the same. I was on a ferry and I walked past the TV and I saw it was 17-3 to France, and I thought, well, Italy were quite good for a while, and then I thought, I will leave it. Yeah. And then I hear that it was a cracker of a game in the second half. So you didn't miss much yesterday. Very ordinary game.
Yeah,
no standout moments. Just a couple of pick and go tries. Really, it was just.
It's just not a kicking game, wasn't it? It was just kicking.
bland.
I still love it though that I've got a 5-year-old son and I've got a 2-year-old son, and I think Rory, who's 5, we've only ever lost to England once in 5 years, and Skylar is going to be 2 now, and he lives in a world where he's never lost to England. So it's a good world to live in.
It is. We were trying to remember all the games, and then we then remembered the awful weather 3 years ago, was it? When we'd just ridden up on one of our with the match ball from Twickenham, and the weather was good all the way up, and then the wind began to pick up, so we crossed the border. We got blown over the border up Sutra, and then it started raining about 10 minutes after we handed the ball over, and the game was, the weather was.
That was awful. That one.
Apocalyptic. Yeah, I got it right. It was when they were doing they were putting up and unders on, and they were landing behind them.
Yeah,
and it was just a dreadful day. We were all knackered and cold and miserable. So I think we watched it from indoors, even though we were at Murrayfield. But it wasn't like that yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
It was that was a very special game of rugby yesterday, and I have to say that Van der Merwe's. We'll go with the first try. Are we all agreeing that's possibly the best ever Calcutta Cup try?
Individual try, yeah.
Individual, yeah.
I'm trying to think of the great tries, and the two that come to mind are both against Wales. One with the one Roger Baird starts that's finished. Is it Jim Calder that scores it, or is it it's John Beattie, I think, that scores it. Where
I think
they kick into our in-ball line, and Roger catches it coming from the wrong side and just skirts up the touch line, and then they work the whole way up and score. And then there was the one that Eric Peters scored against Wales, probably in 97, or was it 95? One of those two, probably 95 actually. It was 95 because Gav started it, but they were all team tries. This was a bit like if Phil Bennett had started the Great Barbarians try and finished it as well, because it was a perfect one-man show of strength and change of direction, wasn't it?
He had no right to score that try, none at all. And that's it. It was even just the change of hands to shift the ball away from contact to get the fend away.
How light-footed he is for such a big guy as well. As I said, the change in direction, it's like winkle toes once he got near the line. Brilliant.
Yeah. It definitely feels as though there's a shift now. Like, see if that was a couple of years ago and we were 6 points down or whatever it was, 6 or 8 points down, you'd be like, this is our reach. But now it's totally changed. Like, we're in with it, we're in with a shout, and then when we went ahead, I was like, I don't see us. The discipline was fantastic in the defence. It's just nice that we've got that bit of steel again. Like, we're actually closing games out. So as long as we follow it up next week, that's the.
We have been here before, and I'm not going to be negative at all about it, because I think the two things that you just mentioned, the discipline and the defence, were the things that have kind of faded. If you looked at where we were in the Calcutta Cup 2 years ago in the empty Twickenham, the discipline there was exemplary, and then from then until now, it's not quite been like that. And to get back to where they were and just say that they're going to be absolutely rigid. If in doubt, leave the ball, and I don't know what the penalty count was, but it was exactly where it needed to be, and the defence was great. And a lot of my English friends are saying, "No, England are awful at the moment," but I don't think they are. I thought they were putting together.
England were pretty decent.
Yeah, I thought that they certainly, they almost won the game as well. It was going like that all the time. One team, other team taking the lead, and I think all they lacked was maybe a couple of straight runners. We've obviously got some amazing straight runners in our back, not the Merva. Great to see Hugh Jones cutting through England defences as well. His record is that's 5 tries from 5 Calcutta Cups he's had, which is an extraordinary record.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. But England were there. They worked some really good tries. They just don't have a couple of straight runners, and they just got to get their confidence back, which is going to, I think they will come back with Borthwick. And I'm hoping, one always hopes that the Six Nations is going to be interesting. Obviously, France run close today as ever. It's always a difficult match for all the teams to get their heads right for Italy. But if Italy had caused the upset, that would have been amazing. But it didn't quite happen. And the big team that we've all got to beat is just the grinding efficiency of the Irish team is daunting, isn't it?
Yeah, because they had the
Yeah.
game at half time yesterday. That was
Aye.
it. Slippers on, cigars out.
Pretty much 10 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
The second half was just like a defensive training exercise for them.
Yeah, it doesn't help that all my in-laws are Irish as well, so never end up with them just texting constantly about it. So
But that means you're covering both camps. If Scotland don't do it, you can look to Ireland as your backup. There's
yeah,
lots of backup options out there.
Yeah, they don't accept me in though, so I'm still the outside. Yeah, so can't drink the Guinness, right? So
many a weekend has been saved by the Irish.
Yeah.
When we've been over in Rome, we've had some dismal games in Rome, but we've been wanting to celebrate something and watching. I think it was Ireland-England one year when no, he's not called Niall Horgan. Who was the big winger?
Shane Horgan.
Shane Horgan.
Shane Horgan.
Horgan, where he scored a try where he clearly stepped about a foot into touch. But yeah, I just remember an epic evening in on a Super Saturday after we played the first match in a small bar off Piazza Navona, a small Irish bar off Piazza Navona in Rome, which I'm sure many of you have been to.
Is that the one? Is it called Scholars Bar? Is that the one?
Ooh,
Is Scholars not the one that has the tenants sign outside it?
I don't know. I definitely went into an Irish bar, but again, I had a skinful by the time I went in there. But it was a great bar, I think.
It's halfway up on the west side of Navona, and you just go down the wee side street, and it's first on the right. There we go. We could lose ourselves in direction. Is it not too stand for that? No, it's that street there. So.
Oh dear.
So what are we thinking then for the rest of the Six Nations on the back of yesterday? I'd say, I'm quietly confident that we can actually properly do something this time, and it's mainly because I don't think yesterday. We played well enough to win, but I don't think they were at their best, and they were missing the likes of Rory Sutherland, Xander Fagerson, Hamish Watson, Ali Price. That's 4 British Lions that weren't even in the 23. That I think there's still quite a lot bit more to come from the team.
Well, it was interesting putting it's White, isn't it? The wee scrum half. Is he London Irish?
Yeah, he was brilliant.
Well, I think just the fact that Greg has gone all out for an attacking option and to have White and then Horn on the bench behind, these are 2 electric attacking scrum halves, and obviously kind of game was sealed by that great, I love it when there's a cock up that turns into an opportunity, and it was converted beautifully by him. Where do we go? We've got Wales next, obviously, and Wales just never finished anything. They built a lot of good stuff yesterday, but they never finished it. Their last pass kept going astray, but I think Wales are in deep trouble, but because Gatland's gonna have to cut the old wood out at some stage, and if I was him, I'd do it next week. But I'm not sure. He's quite a conservative coach now, so I'm not sure that it's going to work out. So, but there's people in there well past their sell date, I would say, and he's got a lot of loyalties that he needs to shed aside, which I suspect he's going to have to do some of that over the next few days.
Yeah, well, that's Alan Wynne-Jones. He's out for next week. He failed the HIA, didn't he? So he's
did he?
Yeah, so he's out completely. But yeah, there is a few older heads in that team, but I don't know. I never get comfortable playing against Wales. That just feels we come out all guns blazing. We done it last year again as well. Win the first game, and it goes to Wales, and we had that performance last year that was hard watch, a bit of a hard watch. That one last year. So fingers crossed, it's a different outcome this year.
Well, it was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago where we had a fantastic season, and yet we managed to lose 2 games. Obviously, we were well beaten by Ireland by the end, but Wales, how did we lose that? And I think they've always been one of the most frustrating teams to play, because you come away thinking, how did we lose that? You have control. They've got very good stamina, certainly over the last 2 decades since, after my time. They've they've made, they've been a really good team in as much as they're far more their constituent parts than, they haven't necessarily got a huge amount of wow players, but they had a lot of grafters, and they've managed to carve out how many Grand Slams? 3, is it? Or maybe 4 over the last 2 decades, which is a hell of a 4, yeah.
So.
And so I'm with you. I'm always nervy playing Wales, but on paper, at home, against a Wales team that, let's not say they're in disarray, but they've got to find themselves again. We should beat them, and I guess it's a measure of where Greg has got the mindset in the team as to how they come out. And can we maintain the discipline and the defence that we built yesterday's performance on, where we probably, I would say we probably less than 40% of possession yesterday, but we did the All Blacks thing, when we got it, we used it.
Yeah.
And then, let them grind themselves up against a wall of defence. And then when we get the ball, let's do some exciting stuff. So,
be interesting to see if he goes with the same kind of attacking setup with the team, because it's almost easier to do that going to Twickenham, because you're almost in a hiding to nothing anyway. You're going to Twickenham. Does anyone really expect you to win? So you can just go for it. Whereas at home against a struggling Wales, do they just go for it again? I hope they do.
Did you just hear yourself there? You were talking stuff that's 6 years out of date. None of that applies anymore. Go down to Twickenham. They've got
That's true.
Every time they go down there, it works for them. So, and this is partly why the English fans are so, out of date and out of touch, is that they're expecting a 30-point thrashing of Scotland at home. Those days are done now, and so
it's still taking time to sink in, though.
Yeah.
But we were all nervy, and when we were 6 points down, but there was an expectation because the attack was so electric. It had made so many opportunities. So I can't see Gregor, climbing back into his box again and saying, let's, you can't. The second game of the Six Nations, you've got to go out there and seize it. And to be honest, the way to win right the way through is to go out with that attitude right up to the end of the final game. And it's great. Gregor's had to seesaw away from his all-out attacking rugby over his coaching career to a slightly more pragmatic approach. But it's great that they've now built up a solid defence, and then we've got an amazing backline at the moment.
Yeah.
It's staggering. And you were saying we're missing some key forwards. Well, who let themselves down in the forwards yesterday?
Exactly, nobody.
Yeah, they were brilliant, weren't they?
So an exciting predicament, isn't it?
It is, and we may need it as because there's going to be injuries throughout the campaign. But hopefully, some of these guys that are coming back. And I watched Hamish for Edinburgh a week ago, and he looked fresh. He didn't look like he'd had a long layoff, and one imagines that they're kept well prepared through the period as they build into full contact. But he looked fresh, so he's waiting to come in as well. So let's be positive.
That's it. Positive.
Gonna smash him.
Positive. So that leads us quite nicely onto a certain big cycle that you're undertaking soon. Do you want to tell us a wee bit more about what the plans are?
So we always like to finale Doddie Aid with the cycle, and last year we'd done Twickenham, we'd done the match ball to Twickenham, we then brought it back up to Murrayfield. I think we had a COVID break for a year, and then we thought, let's do Cardiff last year. And the welcome we got in Wales when we got down there was second to none. And you forget that rugby players, particularly former rugby players, are like gods down there in a way that they're not in Scotland, I can tell you.
No, I'll take exception to that, because I was there with a bag of bloody pastries for you and the boys when you turned up. So I don't know what else a god would want, Rob. Stolen Hilton Pano Chocolats. What more do you want?
They weren't crisp still by the time we got them. They were a bit.
In fairness,
we've been in Sporan for about 2 hours. So.
You could have just went down a bit quicker, Rob. If you got there quicker, it'd have been fine.
Well, we're heading back up. We're instead of going north out of Cardiff. Actually, we're not even starting technically at Cardiff. We're doing a wee prologue from Gloucester to Cardiff on Wednesday in order to get the Princess to give us the ball, which is going to be wonderful. And then the aim is to give it back to her in the match. So we just pre-match when we get up here. So we're getting the ball at noon on Wednesday, doing a wee prologue, just kind of to pay our respects to Ed Slater, sorry, and then 60 miles, and then I've got a Lions dinner because we've got a Lions team cycling with us. Lions dinner in Cardiff on Wednesday night, and then 8 a.m. we set off from Cardiff there's about 200 riders in 32 teams, I think, who've already raised £300,000 that we know of, and it's been an extraordinary effort from them all, and we're heading completely the wrong direction. Just to make the rider a little bit longer, we're heading west to just a place called Kidwelly, which is just near Swansea, where we had a contact. So we've been. Our man in Wales was one of the guys that rode last year, who was from Ruthin up in North Wales. So he said, you got to go to Kidwelly, where he was brought up. So we're going to Kidwelly. We're then going through. I was asked where we were going through, and actually there are almost too many clubs to remember, and they've all got semi-unpronounceable Welsh names. So I'll probably skip a few of them and say that we're heading northeast to Llandudbury and then Llandelo. I think I've got the right order there. And then eventually we reach Wrexham, having slept at somewhere called Cyfnathan and Welshpool. And that's me. I've got rid of most of the hard pronunciations now. And then we cut up to Orrell, which is a great club of yesteryear, just near Wigan, and they've kind of hit troubled times. They're hoping to open their old clubhouse for the first time in ages for us to visit, and then we have to go over the Pennines, and it's going to be pretty chilly. So we're hoping there's going to be no snow or ice. And then it's worth going over the Pennines to get on the East Coast and get flat roads, and then right the way up from Darlington, Alnwick, Dunbar, and then Edinburgh Accies for showers. And then this is the kind of call to arms for all listening. We're aiming to be at 2:15 at Charlotte Square to ride down with the ball for the final bit down to Murrayfield, where we're going to meet the team at the Doddie statue in the southwest corner of the stand.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyone who'd like to cheer us in and cheer us off, we will be from 2:15 in Charlotte Square, and then heading just after 2:30 up towards Murrayfield, down through Haymarket, Westercoats, and then handing the ball just pre-match back to the Princess, and hopefully raising a lot of money for My Name's Doddie Foundation, and B, hopefully offering some inspiration to calm Scottish nerves before the match. So that's what's planned. 200 cyclists, 555 miles from Cardiff up, and what we'd like is to we're going to be suffering. There's a huge amount of money, as I said, being raised by the cyclists involved, but we're trying to get everyone, and this is where you're going to have to stand up again, John. It's not a simple one, just getting a couple of pan chocolat for us this time. You're going to have to get on your bike and do some miles in solidarity with us, and we're just looking for people to donate or fundraise £1 a mile and get some miles in and help us, because we're chasing that 2 million target. We're at about 1.6. We the core group are going to be able to get at least half the rest of that, I would hope, but we're going to need a bit of help. And if someone did the calculation, if all 37,000 Doddie Aiders, well, let's say only half of them have got bikes, let's say 18,000 of them do £10 each, then that's near enough 200,000. So we're pretty much there. So we're just needing, that's the message this week. We're just pushing it is get out, do a bit of cycling with us. There's a great video today from Kathy. We're saying that she and the family are going for a ride locally around Gala and setting the example. So hopefully, obviously, I'll be extracting promises off you lot. Where are you going to ride? You've got till Thursday 8 a.m. through until kickoff.
Did I mention about my calf injury? I don't know if you've been listening.
I'm one of those people that doesn't have a bike, Rob. But what I will do is I will chip some more money towards it as well.
Why don't you go to the gym? Why don't you get all your
Get on the exercise bike? There we go.
Bikes, they count. We've got Chris Hoy's Sunday night ride, his Zwift ride. And actually, this is quite exciting because we've got the Doddie tops on Zwift now, so we're all in our tartan tops with a 5 on the back, which is probably the biggest little win of all the Doddie Aid campaigns. Whenever I go on Zwift to see my little avatar in his tartan top, took a while to get there, but asking the question casually to the right person suddenly produces results. So that's been pushed together by Zwift quite quickly over the last 5 weeks. But they've now got a Scotland World because the UCI Cycling World Championships are coming to Glasgow. So they're launching their Scotland World at the moment. So we've got rides on Thursday and Saturday leading into Chris's ride, which are in the new Scotland World. So all Zwifters, they can start getting their miles on Zwift and the final Hoy ride, which are great fun. I was able to do the first half of today's before I had to run to get the ferry, and the banter on these rides. It's kind of strange to have banter when everyone's texting their banter, but it happens, and it's awesome. And Chris has got a big joke book full of what he calls dad jokes, which is kind of it's maybe 1 in 3 hit the mark. God loves a try.
I've only managed to do one of them this year. I missed this morning's one because it was my 4-year-old's birthday party at a trampoline park, so I was getting absolutely battered in a trampoline foam pit by 4-year-olds instead.
There's a multiplier for that into miles. There will be somewhere on the chart.
I'll double check because I deserve something for that.
500.
That sounds about right. I'll take the Glen Bryce 5,000 miles. Yeah, but I'll be joining. I'll do was the last one on Saturday.
Saturday 9:30. Yeah, so we got Chris and Louise mention leading and sweeping, and
I'll do that one.
And that will be in Scotland. I think that's the Glasgow Criterium course, which is rounded round the landmarks of Glasgow. So it'll be just right for you. So
I'll feel at home.
It is. Chris and I. Chris kindly invited me to join him. He was given a sneak preview of the world, so the two of us rode through it, and I briefly held the King of the Mountains on because no one else had actually done it on the skewer from either the reverse or the front. I can't remember which side. Chris cleaned up all the green jersey points for the sprints naturally. I was briefly holding it, and it was just great fun. We just went around. We were cycling in our own respective places, 300 miles apart, and every so often one of us would identify something. And you need to look at everything except the heather. The heather is awful. Signed by someone who's never seen heather, clearly. But all the landmarks are there. The bridge over the river out of Loch Tulla on Rannoch Moor, it's there, and there's all these little landmarks. You think, who decided that would be a good one to have?
Yeah.
So there's some amazing things to spot. I'd recommend it. It's great fun. I think they've done it really well, apart from the heather.
I'd say the one fun thing about those Zwift rides is trying to keep up with Chris Hoy. And the one I've done, I was like, at about the 9.5, 10 kilometer mark, he was still in the same group as me. I was like, this is amazing. Normally I'm done by 2 kilometers and he's out. I was like, this is class. By 12 kilometers, it was like he just buggered off. He'd obviously decided, I think he typed something like, right, enough of introducing all the famous people that are doing with it. I need to actually put my hands in the handlebar and start cycling properly. I was like, come on.
Well, I've made the mistake of waiting for him a couple of times when he's dropped off, when he's been texting too hard and he drops off the group. So never go back to help him, because if he puts the hammer down, he travels, he goes straight to 40 miles an hour, and he'll go past you like a freight train, and he's back in the group in about 2 seconds. Whereas you have to, when you rev the old diesel up, it doesn't get you there, because you never quite catch up before you're dead. So don't wait for Chris Hoyle.
Yeah.
I don't think many people, are troubled by that conundrum
No.
very often.
So if only, eh? I just had to wait for Chris to catch me up.
Join Louise mentioned. So Louise came up to the regatta, which was I wouldn't say it was a surprisingly great success, but it'd been so much work to organise, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work. But the gathering on Britannia was a real highlight. It had a real buzz to it, and lots of old people getting very competitive again, which was kind of what it is always fun when the competitive spirit breaks out in people that in their youth have been extremely competitive and now are pretending that they're growing old gracefully. But that was all dropped by the wayside, and it was absolutely wonderful. Really good energy to it, and great fun.
Yeah, it looked brilliant. I've seen quite a lot of the social media stuff. It looks fantastic. It's a really good day.
And Louise, that's the first time I've ever met Louise Minchin, and what a lovely lady. Obviously, seen her on the TV for years doing breakfast TV, but no, she was an absolute star. Came all the way up with her husband just to support it, and she's rowing's not her thing, but she banged away at it, and so she's far more comfortable sweeping on the Hoy rides. So she might be about your pace then.
If I'm having a good day.
Yeah, exactly.
Just what you were saying there about her coming up all the way from down south just for the regatta to support Doddie Aid. I guess this year we've not touched on it yet, but it's obviously been a far more poignant Doddie Aid with Doddie's passing last year. And I think, do you feel like obviously you're saying that we've raised almost 1.6 million so far, which last year I don't think it even made it over the million, did it? And it had done that within the first 2 weeks this year.
Well, the first year, obviously, COVID played into our hands. The next year, we had, the second year conundrum, and I think we must have only signed up about 400,000. We only had 400,000 from Doddie Aid all told, really, because we just went over $750,000, but 380 of that was from the ride. The team set up for the ride is just a great way to get the numbers up, and again this year the ride has contributed over 500,000 already. But
wow.
It's getting people to fundraise is the challenge. Getting them to sign up. But we've now 37,000 is an amazing number of people to get involved. If you can get 5% of them fundraising as well, then then that's the model, and that's quite analytical of me. But why have we got 37,000? Because obviously losing Doddie just put the whole issue strongly back in focus again. So we always knew that in the worst possible way it was an opportunity to get lots of people involved, and happily that's the way it's turned out. And I think certainly from Doddie's point of view, his raison d'etre, through those 5 years, we're spending as much quality time as possible with his family and his friends, and his purpose was to push forward M&D research. And in terms of carrying forward that legacy, as it's known by most people now, I think there's a huge amount of energy in it, which is wonderful. And I suppose the big test is can we maintain it next year, which is which I shouldn't even be thinking about because we've not finished this year yet. But if we can tap into the loyalty of those 37,000 people and continue to build it, I think that would be amazing. And I was on a podcast with an agricultural charity. They were particularly focusing on mental health in the agricultural sector, which at this time of year, it's a difficult time of year. In terms of cash flow, it's a difficult time of year because there's not a lot of daylight and all the same difficulties that everyone experiences in terms of winter mood is kind of amplified in agriculture. And the point she was making, the interviewee, was that Doddie Aid and taking exercise and the community that embodies has a huge benefit in itself. It's not just about fundraising for M&D. It's also brings a huge amount of benefit to those taking part in terms of the exercise and the community in terms of helping people. Nowadays it's known as mental health, but it's just keeping people happy really through in old style talk. And I hope that the benefits that the event brings will keep people signing up and hopefully keep recruiting going. It'd be great if it can become an annual thing that I don't need to do a lot of organising for. and hand over to the foundation to keep going, and it's a win-win situation for the foundation and everyone taking part would be our vision for the future. And we'll still stay involved organising the crazy bits. I think there's talk of Rome next year. I'm sure that one of you said you were going to ride to Rome with us. I can't remember which one of you it was.
Right to Rome.
Right there, but I'll come and meet you over in Rome.
I don't know. Many's been challenging everybody in the last.
I don't know. Just keep prodding them, and you'll get there.
Exactly.
No, listen, Rob. I'm in a challenge with Simon Donnelly, the ex-Scotland footballer, until the end of Doddie Aid. I'm now getting a Doddie Aid tattoo in my thigh. At the end of Doddie Aid. So I've not got any room left for any more.
He's made an ass of it, basically.
Yeah. My body's in bits, but that's the whole point, isn't it? That's the whole point.
Well, it is. But if you have a tattoo, you got to take your tattoo on tour. Where better to tour than
Oh, there we go.
Oh, tattoo on tour. Oh, there we go. There's the slogan for next year.
We'd like a photo. We got Ian Fraser travelling around with a match ball at the moment, getting photos all around Scotland. So, how about taking your tattoo on tour? And the format I'm thinking for Rome next year is teams set off when they think they need to set off to relay down there. And
I'll start next week.
Your stationary bike, you might be there a while.
Well, if you do it on Zwift, see that, let's get people to do it on Zwift as well. Let's set that challenge, 1,500 miles on Zwift. I'm not going to make 1,500 miles on this Doddie Aid, and I do quite a lot of cycling. I'll probably hit about 14 and a half. In fact, I know exactly what I hit because of whatever I've got at the moment plus 600 is I'm going to be on about 14. But if we were to set the Rome challenge, because we think it's about 1,500 miles, depending on what route you take, and the more time you can spend on a ferry, the longer the ferry journey, the better. That's the answer.
Just cycle to your nearest port and get on a cruise ship to Rome.
That's it.
There you go.
Go for the really long, the Newcastle to Genoa, or Newcastle to Naples cruise. Well,
there we go.
Nobody's discounting anything.
Get the boat from the Clyde and wherever that takes me to Italy.
Just stay on it till you land somewhere. They sell pasta. Come on.
I'm not sure Ardrossan's in the right direction. No, not Ardrossan. Heading over, Dunoon. But anyway, that's fun things to think about. I'm going to have my ear bent by the whole cycling thing started when this guy Russ Kesley cycled up. I think the year that Doddie announced his diagnosis, he cycled up to London for the Calcutta Cup, which must have been 5 years ago, presumably, because it would have been here 5 years ago. and so we thought, oh, that's a good idea. We'll join him. We got him involved, but he's desperate to do the whole thing, the Rome, which I'm not so desperate. I think doing it in relay to Rome, but we think if we do it in relay to Rome, we reckon we can do it in 3 days. From Edinburgh to Rome.
Wow.
Depends on how big a team we go for.
Yeah.
And how long the ferry takes. But we can definitely do in relay with good cyclists. You can do 500 miles a day. So,
jeez, man. That's a lot. It sounds challenging. I think I'll stick with this tattoo on tour when I meet you in Rome.
You can set off 10 days before, and you can have pictures on the Champs-Élysées in France. You can have Monaco pictures.
We could get an RV.
Yeah, you definitely want an RV.
Yeah,
I mean, someone's got to ride occasionally.
Oh, you guys do riding and stuff. So we'll all do it. We'll all do something. We'll all do something. That'll be exciting. That's another challenge.
Look at him just signing. Look, he didn't even have the project. We're doing it now. What's this no consultation? And he's just signed us up. Like, hold on a minute here. It's like,
told you, Rob. Just keep prodding him when he breaks.
You know, it's like he's rented an RV. We're cycling now, and he's cycling. But we take the week off work now as well.
Yeah, there's actually
I will. Oh.
Sounds like it's all decided now, doesn't it?
Oh, apparently so, Rob.
Will a week be enough? Will a week be enough?
Not for my arse to heal, that's for sure.
Need a week off after as well.
I know. My God.
We sent to your desk on one of those rubber rings.
You literally say, would a week be enough? And in my head, I'm going, I'll do it in fucking 4 days. This is the problem.
I'm reaching over and shaking your hand now. That's the deal. You better get your team together. You better find some strong cyclists to help you.
I think I might
I'm
need
not
to
sure that these two are going to be possibly support crew. Do you think?
Yeah.
Just on a completely different note, do you have Chris Hoy's number?
You got to remember, Chris Hoy, a kilometre's a long way for Chris Hoy. 1,500 miles just isn't even on his radar.
Who does the Tour de France? Is that Bradley Wiggins? He's a cyclist, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bradley Wiggins can do distance, yeah.
Right, I'll have a word with him. Have you got his number?
If you've got his number, I'll need it for next year myself.
Only if you join our team. Wait, we don't have a team. We don't have a team.
Right. Could you just stop talking?
I know, exactly. Just stay off the whiskies.
Right.
I'm not.
Might need to edit this bit out so that it doesn't go out and publicly commit us to this.
We've probably spent too long on it. The audience will be going, right, you're off to Rome. That's enough then.
Are they still talking about that?
Oh my God.
Anyway, before we take up too much of your time, Rob, have you got any last message for everyone hitting this last week of Doddie Aid to just make that last push for? It's quite simply, it's a thank you for all those, whenever I say a thank you list, I inevitably miss someone so important. So I try and avoid saying specific thank yous. Got to mention Ian Fraser and the district social media teams who look after each of the districts, who are doing an amazing job. But really just everyone out there, thank you for getting involved. And the message for the next 6 days is £1 a mile, get on your bike, donate, fundraise, join us on the ride, even if you can't join us on the ride, where we are. And let's see if we can hit that 2 million. That's quite simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone likes a target.
Yes,
2 million. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Easy. When are you just going to top it up,
We've got to go rob a bank now next. Apparently, we're just watching a Kaleidoscope, so we're just learning how to rob banks and pick saves.
If anyone wants to sponsor us, how to rob in a bank, that's
you're fine. The Doddie Aid community will sort it out for you. You don't need to rob a bank.
With a good lawyer, probably. Yeah. So, but Rob, thanks again. Honestly, it's been a pleasure chatting, and good luck with cycles, and it's a fantastic job. It's done again. It's been everyone that we spoke to must admit, from outside the rugby community, they've all really got involved with it as well, and really kind of spreading the awareness of it, so that reach is starting to grow. So yeah, you have to be commended on that side of things.
Yeah.
Well, it's particularly over in Glasgow, it'd be normally I managed to get some sort of handle on McCoy's. This year I didn't really get a handle on them at all. I gave up, but if you think that Glasgow this year was probably bigger than the North and Midlands last year, that's the scale of growth we've had. And I still think Glasgow needs, if we can really tap into it and get into the football community there, then Glasgow could be absolutely smashing it. So well done for your part in it. Thank you for all your help. And a bit of cycling. A celebratory drink after the Wales game before I fall asleep, and then upwards and onwards, and starting to plan next year probably.
Indeed.
Well, best of luck. Well, again, Rob, thank you so much, and we'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Awesome to speak to you, Rob. Cheers.
Thanks, Rob. Take care.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.
So another interesting chat with Mr. Rob Wainwright there. So
what a guy!
Mini signing us up to freaking 500. Like, what? You need to just calm the fuck down. Like, just literally calm the fuck down. It's just like the mouse just keeps going. How many times did you have to stretch your hammy during that conversation there?
The funny bit was when Rob was talking about the regatta and people who used to be competitive in their youth and they get competitive again. And I was just looking at Minnie being like, I know one of those people.
It's just he was so passionate about it, and I was like, well, challenge. Like,
I thought you don't have to accept every challenge that comes to your front door. But anyway,
I like Rome though. I want to go to Rome. That's just really.
I
don't care about the cycling bit. I just want to go to Rome.
There is that sort of romantic bit where you say if you manage to get like a banged up like an RV and you just like cruise about going through it, like I can see that happening. But then
you think the three of us in an RV is a romantic idea?
Well, depends how it goes. Depends how much whiskey I take with me.
Depends how the sunset's coming.
Easy now.
We'll park that one just now.
Park that RV.
Take the tattoo and
literally park it.
Park it and we'll wait. So I'll deal with Simon Donnelly first, then I'll deal with that.
That was a bit sinister.
Deal with one problem.
Yeah, I can't take it all on at once.
Yeah. But Robbie
as much as you try,
is a proper gent though. The work that he puts into this charity. Like you're thinking that it's the money that they're raising. As I said, he started this off with a whiskey at New Year, thinking, you know what, let's start this going. He's taken it to a really good level. From
an idea in a whiskey to 37,000 people signing up and 2 million funds.
I targeted 2 million. 2 million in 6 weeks. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's insane to raise that amount of money in that short space of time.
Let's just hope we get it there. Let's hope we get it too.
Exactly.
Big push. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll leave you there. We have one more episode to come, and then we're going to do a wrap-up episode as well. Your miles windmilling at me there. I'm like, what are you doing? But anyway,
I don't know, man.
You just agreed with me there.
So tired, my arms are just flapping
just
around.
Waving about at me. But yeah, so we've got one more episode to come. Stay tuned for the guest for that one. And as I said, we'll do our wrap-up episode in just over a week's time.
Announce our prize winners.
Yeah, that's it. See where the targets are. I think, is there still some people on zero as well? I think
there are still some zeros.
But ultimately, like if you want to be in with the biggest chances of winning, you need to get more miles in. That's really it. So
that's it. Let's press to impress.
I know, and we've got plenty of good prizes in there, but ultimately. It's not just about the prizes, it's about doing a good thing. So smash our miles and then let's see how we end up. So brilliant, lads. We will see you in a couple of days' time for our next one.